Ready. I want to call the November 17th Sanitary District meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mr. Gambala, he left, correct?
Yes, he left.
Ms. Crow?
Here.
Mr. Setlak?
Here.
Ms. Sim-Smearchuk?
Here.
And Mr. Kometz?
Here.
Craig Phillips, Town Manager, is present. Wayne Tondinas?
Present.
All right, so you have 4 members present, which does constitute a quorum for a meeting.
Okay, so moving on, approval of the minutes. The minutes have not been typed, so I'm going to defer the approval of the minutes till the next meeting.
We need a motion and we need an action on that.
Okay, can I get a motion to defer the approval of the October 20th, 2020 meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. New business. SCADA system proposals updates.
Okay, so at the Waterworks Board meeting, I think most of you were here, we've received 4 proposals for the SCADA system, and I read those names of the companies and the amounts of the proposals into record. And we're going, the Waterworks Board voted to take those under advisement and have staff and others as necessary review those and come back at the December meeting with a recommendation for moving forward on that. So if you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer those at this time, but that's where we're at with that.
Yes, the simple one goes back. The difference between a proposal and a bid.
Well, because this is a design-build situation, our attorneys advised us that the proposal was an option in this case, and the proposal, because it's a design-build situation, basically we're asking someone to design the system for us and then to build the system manage the building of the system that they design, as opposed to a bid, where we have specific bid specifications that a bidder responds to, so that there's an absolute apples-to-apples submittal of a proposal based on those specs. And we originally went down the road of trying to put together bid specs for that project, but it became evident as we went along that the better option to pursue was the proposals, as opposed, because of it being a design-build situation for the system. So it's more like a service as opposed to just an outright capital purchase.
All right, and then if the proposal is accepted, so there would be no bid if it gets accepted?
No.
Do they then have to come back and bid?
So it's my understanding that in that situation, that's not required, that they're basically allowed to design the system,
Okay.
consult with us on the design, and as long as we agree on the design of what they put together, then we would,
So essentially, the proposal and a bid are the same thing, just for different...
not exactly, no. I don't want to say that, because I don't want to be on record saying that's the same. It's not. This is a design bid, this is a design-build system, where they basically design the system based on our needs in consultation with us on those needs, and then basically order the elements of the system necessary and then put that in.
Okay, I'm still not really getting the difference if one gets accepted, and also by the range of the numbers that came through.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure the bidders really,
Yeah,
or the proposers, I should say, really knew. To me, that's a wide range.
it is, and we'll have to look into why that is. But
It's clear that some of them include items that the others didn't, because the
correct.
prices were so far off.
Correct. I mean, they all received the same request. So, they were asked to respond to the request that you guys approved at the last meeting. We obviously got a very wide array of responses in terms of cost and elements included in their proposals. And we have to, and I don't have any answers to any of that because we just received these and we haven't had a chance to review them.
As part of the review process, is it possible that any of them would just be tossed out as being non-responsive?
I would have to talk to our attorneys about whether proposals are considered non-responsive like bids. Bids can be considered non-responsive if the bid specs aren't met. The difference here is that there are no bid specs. There's a proposal with elements that are requested in the proposal. So it's a matter of, and it's not just semantics. Bids are a very specific, state, statute-driven process that is required for any purchases over $150,000. I was advised by our attorneys that the design-build option for request for proposals was an option for this project.
Is it also subject to the same 150,000 requirement?
I would have to talk to our attorneys. Honestly, I don't have all those answers right now, Mr. Setlak.
Okay. I'm just, as far as, I'm kind of stickler about the process, the procurement process.
I understand, and
I
I'm
have-
concerned about it myself, and I was concerned about it previously, but I was told that this was an option. So
All right.
I will review, but we're going to review all the proposals we received and take that into consideration before we make a recommendation moving forward. And we'll review we'll make sure that we handle the proposal recommendation according to what our attorneys suggest, as far as the process.
I guess there's a concern. I don't believe I would say if you're thinking about going toward the lowest bid,
We're not necessarily required to, it's my understanding we're also not required to go with the lowest bid in the case of, for requests for proposals. So,
okay. Well, I look at it, leaves to me this big kind of smushy thing about what's your evaluation criteria? What are you basing anything on?
we wrote our evaluation criteria in the proposal, in the request for proposals. So we would review our proposals that we receive based on those evaluation criteria. And if they don't meet those criteria, then I suppose we wouldn't recommend that proposal.
Yeah, because I still have this big thing about when you have the same proposal, factors of 4 difference. You go from under 300,000
I
to $1.2 million.
understand your concern.
And I don't want to have the town get stuck with something. I want to be sure as much as they can in the process. And that wide-ranging stuff doesn't give a warm, fuzzy feeling.
Yeah, I don't know. We put a very thorough request for proposals together. You saw it, you read it, you understand the details that went into it. I don't know why these are so very different. And we're going to have to look into that and try to determine why.
Hey, Craig, that was the RFP we approved last
Correct.
month. So it was detailed.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So you're looking for a motion to,
I guess I'm just giving you an update, since the lead agency is the Waterworks Board.
okay,
There's really no action that needs to be taken, even though I think the agenda you have says that, but there's really no action that needs to be taken, other than just to keep you advised as to what occurred and what is going to take place between now and the next meeting.
okay.
So it's more just keeping you apprised of what's going on, since we're going to eventually be asking the Sanitary Board to help pay for a portion of the cost of the project.
Okay, thank you. Next order of new business, US 41 utility relocation project update. So, Hasi, you want to give us an update on that?
Yes, we'd be happy to. This is Scott Cookta from Haas and Associates. The start of the Grimmer construction project, which has already been awarded, it's been delayed a few weeks due to primarily Comcast, but communication utility relocations. So their new anticipated date to be cleared of those utilities is the first week of December. December 5th was the latest we got update from them last week. In addition to that, as you are aware, I believe from previous updates, we're currently preparing a change order. It would be change order number 2 to the Grimmer contract. This would address the need to lower the sanitary forced main on the west side of of US 41 in this project area. We had been waiting for a number of things, one of which primarily was the vector pipeline approval clearance, and we did receive that at the very end of October. We've been working with Grimmer Construction to find as many cost savings as possible within the scope of that change order. We think we're to a point now where that's pretty much resolved, so we should be getting that soon. In addition to that, we hope to include a pending item, which is currently under INDOT review, which may be a cost savings to the town. This is jumping back to the east side of US 41. We found a length of over 400 feet of sanitary line that may be approved by INDOT to remain in place, which affects a couple of manhole structures and some existing storm network as well above it. So this could be a decent cost savings. However, there's a couple of hurdles to cross here with INDOT. They want to verify the integrity of that existing sanitary sewer line. It's an 8-inch line. We did have it televised at the end of last week, and we're currently assessing that report to determine the quality of that pipe. We hope it passes muster with INDOT and that they approve leaving that in its place. They may require lining it or enhancing the any lateral connections into that main with new cleanouts and potentially replacement of those laterals. Nevertheless, those steps may still result in a cost savings compared to having to relocate that section of line. That's kind of a pressing pending item right now. We don't have all the answers on that. But so far INDOT has given a preliminary head nod to approving leaving it in place. But as I said, that's not a final determination yet. So we will include that results, within the next week or so within that change order to, assuming we get a quick response from INDOT.
On the west side thing, I think it was talked about an estimated cost, this is going back, but I believe around 80,000. Has anything changed on that? Or is it more or less, or?
I believe our preliminary estimate, I believe, was 90, and I think it's closer to 105 now, 100 to 105. As I said, I think we're still working on trying to find some cost savings there. We have one item involved, one last idea here that we're going to pitch to INDOT about a slight alteration to their ditch design that might save a little more as well on that. But it does look like it's going to be around 100 or just over for that scope.
Okay, it's probably too soon to tell on that 400-foot section about, because you mentioned some significant savings possible.
Yeah, and I don't want, and I'm leery to give a number because it really depends on how INDOT rules on what we would need to do in terms of the existing pipe. If we have to line it and replace all the laterals, it may wipe out or come close to wiping out that savings. It still may be a marginal savings that will be worth the town. Every dollar cheaper is better. If they didn't require any lining and left it in place, it could be a decent savings in the tens of thousands of dollars for that. But as I said, we don't have that yet, but we're working hard to get INDOT to approve it.
Okay.
The condition is essentially that that 8-inch sewer is quite deep, over 15 feet deep, and it's on the very eastern extent of their curb widening. So it's basically in a region where INDOT's on the fence about being comfortable with it needing not to be relocated. So it's not completely clear out of their way, but it's really close, and they're willing to work with the town if they can verify the condition is good and won't need repair in the near future.
And when do you expect to have an answer on that from INDOT?
Their timeline isn't definite, but they were quite responsive within a couple of days. The last time we addressed this with them, the first stage, the preliminary approval, that's when they requested that we televise the line. We've since done that. Like I said, the end of last week, we're awaiting the final report from the televising company to forward to NDOT. If it's within the same speed as last time, it would be within a week of them receiving that report and our recommendation, hopefully sooner.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, next item of new business, consider proposal for sanitary sewer system study. This was a proposal submitted to the town of St. John, very similar to the water system study that was done by Haas and Associates. Basically, the purpose of the proposed study is to determine all necessary capacity improvements to the sanitary sewer system to assure that the system's sewers, wastewater lift stations, and the town's present share of the Cherville wastewater treatment plant capacity are all adequate for the existing and future increase in wastewater flows due to the projected town population growth. I'm not going to go into specifics on all the detailed bullet points on this study, but you're looking for a motion to accept this proposal?
Correct, and you should have previously received both a draft version of this, and then for comment, and then a secondary revised version with cost estimate for the services to be provided, and Haas and Associates is also available online if you would like them to further expand on this and answer any questions that you have.
And I do want to note that the estimated costs were between $35,000 and $38,500.
Correct.
So can I get a motion to accept this proposal for engineering services in the amount between $35,000 and $38,500?
So moved.
I will second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say nay.
That was a quiet eye.
Oh, that was quiet aye, okay. All right, 4 ayes, motion passes.
I have a question, is this due to be accomplished before the whole SCADA thing? This whole study of the sanitary stuff? Before we do this design and build for a SCADA system, will we get this analysis of the sanitary system done? Will it be before that?
I don't think so. I think how long did you think the sanitary study is going to be? Or how long is it going to take?
There's a schedule on page 3 of our proposal, but it looks like about 5 months or so. One of the things that we're using some of the work that we do on the water system study in the work that is done as part of the water system study will be utilized, and so it's not duplicated as part of the sanitary sewer study. So I think it's going to be it'll end up taking, because we were just approved for the water system study today prior to this meeting. So we're approximately 5 months. It sounds to me like these are going to be happening simultaneously: the water study, the sewer study, and the SCADA system. But I don't fully understand the schedule for the SCADA system project.
Yeah, that's what I was going. If you're looking at things to look at the system, but then you're putting in the system, the control system, but you haven't really firmed up what you want in the sewer system, it seems, or have an idea. I mean, it might not affect anything if your study says don't change a whole lot, but I don't know. It kind of seems like, you'd study things before you get a system to control it. But I'm just looking at the
Tim, would this study uncover anything that they would need to know in implementing the SCADA system?
It's possible. I don't think it's very likely. For instance, this sewer study, we're going to take a hard look at all of the lift stations and what kind of upgrades, if any, are required for the lift stations. Well, you, as part of your SCADA project, I'm 99% sure that you already are getting monitoring of the lift stations done. If the study results, say, this is very hypothetical, say if the study results in, okay, if you're going to annex this area, to the south of the current boundaries of town, then there would be a lift station required there. Well, I think it'd be premature now to add any kind of monitoring to a lift station that might never get built in the future. It would be nice, I think, if the SCADA system.
I think some of it, though, is the capacity to add another system.
To add another
A lift station
area
or whatever, if you're anticipating growth,
Or service area.
that, based on service area, like right now, to have the capacity to rather expeditiously add on to the SCADA system with new terminals and new this and new that. It's kind of like an old house in the 40s, in the 70s, and you need more outlets.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a consideration of that looking forward. And to me, it's part of the planning process. If you're planning, the plan automatically is looking at the future. I guess maybe I'm going out further in the future, but saying, can all this stuff, will it serve us in the future? Or will it all have to be redone
Right.
from square
I
one?
think that I think it would be very good to have some expansion capabilities on the SCADA system to pick up additional potential future items that you'd like to monitor, like another lift station.
Well, that's why I was looking at.
I don't know.
That was like I was looking at your study coming ahead with your recommendations or whatever you put in your study about what's there, and I'm assuming there'll be something looking at the future of where this thing stands and its capacities and this and that, and how that implements in the future, which I believe would be nice to have when putting up getting a system to monitor it all.
Mr. Sedlak, if I could add to it, if you don't mind. As you may recall, the RFP for the SCADA system did ask the respondents to address kind of a per location, adding a lift station or adding a water facility to the system, what the cost of that would look like based on design. So we did ask them to basically provide for expandability in the future in those proposals. Now, whether or not all four of those did that, I don't know. We don't know yet, but that is a part of the request for proposals. And it's kind of it's my understanding, it's when it comes to adding a lift station, generally speaking, it's a plug and play type situation. By adding another lift station, you continue to add a well or a lift station. It's kind of just a relatively standard plug and play situation, especially for new facilities.
It should be scalable.
Right.
Yeah,
The should be bothers me. There's a lot of things should be.
Well, I mean, we don't have a crystal ball, so we don't know what we're adding, and so we couldn't say, please add X number of lift stations or X number of wells.
I understand that.
We did ask for the additional cost for if we were to add a well or if we were to add a lift station, what would that cost look like?
And I think going forward, our board has a responsibility, since all of these plans are in the formulation phase, the study, the SCADA systems, proposals and everything, to make sure that everything works in concert, that we make sure all the i's are dotted and t's are
Right, they
crossed.
work together. They're not, all these things are not independent. They're looking
Right.
at the same
But right
thing.
now, they're all in the formulation phase, so I think going forward, because our board now is cognizant of it, we can make sure everything aligns and everything's covered.
And we can make sure that Haas and Associates, who is doing the water study analysis and the water system study and the sanitary system study, works closely with whoever we choose to do the design of the SCADA system, so that there's, things are done in concert with
It's
one another that
imperative
way.
HATS is kept informed.
Yes.
Okay.
Does the study include possibly looking at removing any lift stations, as well as possibly putting pinholes for locations of future lift stations in the future service area?
Definitely yes to the second question, second part of your question. As far as the first part of your question, removing lift stations, that's an interesting thought. I guess it should, because if maybe if you put a pipe in deeper, then you could eliminate a pump station. Yeah, I think the study will include that. What are the opportunities for removing a pump station, and what would the cost of putting in a sewer to replace that, at a deeper elevation? Are there any particular? Is that something that is, like, say, Bob and Bob are thinking of, that there might be pump stations that could be eliminated?
In the past, we have eliminated, that I know of, at least 3 lift stations. We had one on Alcott, we had one on 107th, and we had one on 101st and White Oak. Those are no longer in existence. I don't think we should delay the SCADA system. It's just like, to me, I'm not the computer person or whatever, it's just like add another computer in your house. And I think your engineering firm wanted to do something to the lift station over there by Prairie West Park, something about tying in a sewer by Wall Street. Ken Kraus was talking to us about that. But we can't put this SCADA system off any longer. It's been February since we were talking about it. We got lift station 1, that's our busiest lift station. It has no capability of communication with anything. Bob V, our water operators, put a lot of work into this, talking to everybody, and I don't think, I understand what Rich is saying, but I don't think we should put it off anymore. And like Craig says, it's plug and play. I think a lot of it's gravity fed, if I'm not mistaken, or they're trying to get it gravity fed. So I think we need to go ahead with the project. We put it off any longer, it'll be like 2 years that lift station 1 hasn't operated with any communication. Wells 3 and 5, the communication goes haywire sometimes with that. And it's a proprietary thing that we got to keep paying for the guy to come from Minnesota.
Yeah,
And-
we're constantly getting alarms
Right.
at Wells 3 and 5, and the Monix plant. So it's a concern we need to address.
And the valve that the previous board, the Waterworks, approved for the Gates Tower, that will have capability with the SCADA system to kick on. It should do it automatically, but I think our water operator can turn it on with a computer, so that'll be good. And to put this off for another 5 months, not a good idea. And I'm sure our water operator would say the same thing, along with Bob Davis.
But we'll ensure that HOSC is kept apprised of the project with the SCADA system as it moves along, and make sure that those consultants are talking with one another. Ultimately, whoever gets chosen for that, and make sure that we, coordinate as much as possible on those projects.
Well, I think that's kind of
Yeah.
imperative based on stuff that's gone on before with INDOT,
Yeah, we
and
understand.
communication problems seems to be a recurring theme with a lot of things here. And I hope you're right. I'm not saying that that's impossible, but it's going to take some doing to people say, well, I'll talk with them. They're not really, related. And it's like, I don't know if you're going to be in there.
Well, we can make it clear that the consultant that's chosen to design and build the SCADA system will make it clear that they need to keep Haas and Associates up to date on what's going on with the project at various points along the way, so that they know whether or not,
Well,
and
most
vice
communication goes
versa.
both ways.
And vice versa.
Yeah. So it's a two-way street. Okay.
And they're on the phone, they're online, so Haas is online with us, so they've heard it.
So if there are communication problems, can I put those on your desk? Are they yours?
The communication problems.
Yeah, if they're, a year or two from now, if it comes back, well, they didn't tell us, we didn't know, we didn't talk with them.
Have faith, it'll work. Have faith. It'll be fine.
Oh,
All we can
I'm
do
just
is try to
saying-
bring in the best
I'm just-
experts we can to try to carry these things out for us, and, you know, luckily, we're not dealing with the state on anything here, so there's at least one less, you know, concern, you know, involved with that, so,
I'm just bringing up as a caution and something to watch out for, that
yep.
once you sign the dotted line, doesn't mean these things go automatically. They can still blow up in your face and they don't work.
I understand. We have to
I
have,
think
like,
the last SCADA system, I think, was evidence of that. It didn't
Well,
work.
that was 16, maybe 20 years ago.
Yeah,
And it was put in somewhat in a hurry, maybe, but
it didn't work, though, did it? I mean, did it ever really do anything?
2005.
But now, if you look at one subdivision, the preserves, they put a lift station in. That didn't affect anything. And I think they've got monitoring devices on that.
No,
And
they don't.
They don't? Okay. And then the rest of that is gonna go into the lift station that's over by Shilton Hills. So they're not gonna have to build a lift station. They're just gonna have to make it, maybe put a bigger pump in there, if I understand it right. So it'll work. You just have to have some faith.
Well, you're making this sound like a religious type of experience. We're talking sewers and water lines and everything.
Well, there's nothing wrong with religion either, but.
No, but I don't believe in doing things or taxpayers' money based on, you know, it's faith, and we hope it works. You know, I hope this one sticks to the wall. It's like, no, I think
And
you
they're
do
basically.
due diligence ahead of time.
They're basically putting monitoring systems on each lift station. It's just, they're taking the old one off, putting a new one in, better communication, they're gonna work somewhat the same way, you know?
Why don't we see what the proposals shake out to be for next month? Because we've got 4 proposals sitting there that no one's read.
And we get to grill, and we can, you know, ask these same questions of the company that, you know, whose proposal we would like to consider signing an agreement with, you know. so
And we
it's-
keep the
There'll be another
communication.
opportunity to ask the same questions
Yeah.
of that party as well.
Haas needs to be kept in the loop on all this too.
Yes, I
Yes.
think that'll mitigate any
Yeah.
Yes.
potential problems. All right, can I get a motion to accept the proposal for the sanitary sewer system study?
I'll do that.
I will second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
It's 2 times.
Reports and correspondence?
This might be a good spot, but I've had things based on things that we're signing off on and everything else. I have some concerns of how this is going to be paid for. And I've heard various things about bond issues and this and that, and I don't know if anything's going on, and maybe,
Our financial advisors are currently preparing the documents for us to consider a utility bond, and determining whether or not that's a water utility or sanitary, utility bond. I know they're working on that as we speak, and I think it's their intention to try to, get that process going, just after the beginning of the year, because that's when, rates are more favorable for bonds. And other than that, all I can say is that work is going on, that Baker Tilly is working on that, and along with our bond counsel. They're working in conjunction with our bond counsel to put together those timelines and those options for us.
I have a personal concern as well, because we've got a lot of big projects coming down the pike, and it's no one's fault, it is what it is. My concern is, are we gonna have the money to pay for this?
It's a
How are we
valid-
gonna pay for it? I mean,
It's a valid
I
concern.
would love to go out and buy $100,000 Mercedes, but how am I gonna pay for it?
Right.
You know, all these proposals are coming to us, we need this, we need that, we need this replaced, that replaced. Do we have the money to pay for it? And I'd like to have some reassurances from Baker Tilly that the funding is there and we're gonna be okay with absorbing these expenditures.
Okay, what I could do is, I could ask the council, if it's okay for Baker Tilly, to come and give you kind of an update as to the, you know, the picture of that, and what those options look like when they have that information put together. But I would need, you know, I would need their okay to move forward with, you know, paying for, you know, Baker Tilly coming to do that for you. So Wayne and I can pass that along to the council, that you guys would like to have that consideration. Obviously, it's only fair to do that if we're gonna be asking you guys to potentially help us float a bond. You're gonna want a full picture of the finances in order to consider something like
In
that.
all fairness, we can't sign off, vote to approve something if we don't know the funding's there, because it's on us.
Right, no, that's true.
So,
Well,
you
we're
know.
paying part of Baker Tilly's bill. I mean, they're on our docket. We're paying them. I don't know why it'd be a big deal for them to come talk with us.
They do provide you with basic financial service, just the basic filings that were required to be, put together as an entity. And I suppose we could have them come talk to you and have that, you do have I'm sorry, let me not misspeak, but the utility does have a budget for things such as accounting. And so I suppose that, there's no reason why we couldn't do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Probably, if you can get that sooner rather than later, it'd be appreciated.
I know they wanted to get through the general obligation bond process, which we just got through recently, before they really put a lot of effort into the utility bond side of things. But the bonds, the general obligation bonds, the funds have been received and closed out. The closing has taken place and we've received the funds. So I know they've switched gears to preparing us for the utility bond, but I think it's important for us to start to provide you guys with more information about that process. I agree.
'Cause my short-lived little thing that I take credit for about saving something on a thing, the relocation thing with just pumping around or changing the pumping style, whatever, that's been blown away. The west side went up $20,000-$30,000 since the last time. The east side is kind of unknown. We added on the loan repayment of $500,000 a year.
It's definitely time to bring the.
Have the
financial
SCADA system.
Yep,
We split it in half, going by the highest one, that's about $600,000-$700,000.
yep,
Right now, we're talking, a couple $1 million,
yep. It's a good.
without,
It's a good time to bring in Baker Tilly to talk to you guys more detail about the finances.
That would make it clear for us.
yes, because I want to see where the dollars are coming from. I don't know, I don't believe there's that much money sitting around that would just be generated.
But we'd appreciate the council's cooperation with that and getting them in here.
Well, and I believe you, like I said, you guys do have the ability to, you have accounting services within your budgets. And so I think we can just probably go ahead and do that and let them know that that's happening.
That would be.
And it's important for the council to understand what their involvement is in the process as well. Is it something that's solely handled by, the utility, or does it involve both entities? That's something we all need to understand. Because I think it's been some time since we've done a utility-related bond.
Okay.
So,
Do you have any other reports, Craig?
nothing else to report at this time, no.
Wayne? All right, let's move on to payment of the bills. So I'd like to entertain a motion for the payment of the sanitary district APVs in the amount of $29,096.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And can I get a motion for the payment of the wastewater APVs in the amount of $2,331,266.78?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
I will second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Silent aye.
Yeah, there's another one.
All right, motion passes. Move on to public comment. Seeing that there's no public comment, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Also move.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
All right,
Meeting's adjourned.